Survivor 41, baby. Here we are. Oh, yeah. All right. Look, nice to be here. Hi, for those tuning in for the first time, I am Robin. For those who are tuning in multiple times, the single solitary Inwit. It looks like I have outlasted Jack, and it looks like I'll be going solo for the foreseeable future, but that's okay. I am happy to talk solo. I am happy to talk Survivor 41. I'm excited. I also want to say to Jeff, we've missed you, buddy. We've missed you. I am happy. I am a happy man that Survivor's back. I know some people I saw online today didn't like the wokeness of this first episode, but you know what? I am happy. I loved it. I had a big smile on my face the whole 2-hour opening episode. Today we'll probably just go into it a little bit. I'll talk a little bit about what I think's happening. Obviously, it's the first episode. There's never a large amount you can break down strategy-wise because everyone's getting to know each other. But we'll talk a bit about the changes and what that means for Survivor and the twists and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, let's dive into it. I straight off the bat, very, as we can tell, I'm very happy to have Survivor back on the airwaves. The American one, it's been far too long. And you know what, I enjoy the change. I know people might get riled up because Jeff said, hey, do I change come on in, guys, to just come on in? It doesn't change the game. He drops a word, who cares? Who cares? If you're one of those people at home having a bit of a cry, and I'm talking to you, it doesn't change the game if he says, come on in, guys, or come on in. It doesn't matter if he's been saying that for 20 years, whatever. It's fine. The game's still the same. Let's play Survivor. We want to strategize. We want to play the challenges. We want to play the social game. That's what Survivor is. It doesn't matter what's said. So anyway, we start off, we're split into 3 tribes. We haven't had a starting place of 3 tribes for quite a while. The worst place to, I think, is to start with 3 tribes. It's very hard to, one wrong move is harder to escape from if you go to immunity. If you go to tribal council, and we see two tribes go to tribal council, the green and yellow tribes, which I'm still Ua and Yasu. Can't remember the tribe names just yet, and what's the point? They'll mix up eventually. So having tribes of 6 means very little room to move. We also have a game that instead of being 39 days, it's 26 days. And Jeff now starts to say, well, you got to play faster, you got to play harder, it's going to be quicker. And it is. But part of me already thinks, well, if it's gonna be a shorter time frame, strangely enough, I think I have to take the pedal off a little bit, because if you come out guns blazing, you're probably going to give yourself a higher threat. And we do see that with, say, Abraham. Abraham comes out and starts to throw people under the bus, get his name off the chopping block, even though it probably isn't on the chopping block, but make sure it's not on the chopping block by putting other people on the block straight away. In the end, that costs him the game instantaneously. He's out first, his first boot, because he played too aggressive. If it was 2 tribes instead of 3 tribes, and there was room to move, there was room for error, maybe you could play hard. But when you've got 6, when you've got a tribe of 6, and in 3 days' time you're voting someone off, you really need to sit back. I feel it's a much stronger play to take it all in and just be a likable person. Because sure enough, someone will put their hand up and say, hey, vote me out tonight, even though they don't mean to. In this case, it was Abraham. And in the other case, it was what would happen when you don't really know. And you're like, well, you stuffed up the challenge. We got nothing else going for. And Sara goes home. But let's just talk a little bit about some of our characters that we've got, some of the big characters we're seeing has come up so far. I'm a big fan of Shan, if that's how I pronounce her name. I think she is going to go far. I love her little theme song she plays when she talks to people, and the editors have put that in as well when she's talking. But she I think is she's a very clever player, and definitely a solid pick for a potential win or final three. I think she can go very, very deep in this game, already from just what I've seen. Then we have the personality of JD, which, you know what, JD, I'm going to get back to Shan anyway. I'm just going to run through a couple of different characters here. JD, you know, JD comes in, and there's a lot that I kind of like about JD. He's great entertainment for one, but you know what? Is he the first? Even though he's the youngest one on the island, is he the first person to sit there and go, "Hey, I can make fire. I've been trying to make fire for the past year. I've been using coconut husk. I've been using grass. He makes fire in minutes, because he's been practicing it." This show is in the season 41. It's in season, what are we in Australia? I think season 7 or 8, maybe not even, probably 6. I don't know. I can't keep count. Season 8 just wrapped up in South African Survivor. I don't know the other survivors like French Survivor and all that sort of stuff, but why is it that it's taken 20 plus years for someone to work on this at home? And also, like, I made fire on Survivor. You should be able to make fire before you get on that island. I am so grateful to see someone like JD come in and go, "Here, give me the flint. It's done. Get out of here. What are we wasting time for trying to make a fire? You've had all this time." I mean, especially for these new survivors, if you were cast in America, it's been a long hiatus, or long break between our last episode season, or last season 40, which was all returning players anyway. It was all the winners at war. They were experts. They spent, one of them was a 2-time winner. Now we've got two-time winners, but they'd been there at least one season all the way to the end. They should all be able to make fire. But here we've got this guy who's the only one that can make a fire, day dot. We had someone in the Australian season who never even watched an episode of Survivor before going on the show, and he had a year to plan. Never watched a single episode. It blows my mind that we consistently have people who don't know how to make fire. If you go on that island, if I go on that island, if I ever get on that show and I can't make fire, I will be an embarrassment to myself. You should be able to do that before you get on the island. It should be your bread and butter. You got to focus on strategy, so don't focus on learning how to survive. So I was really, really impressed that someone actually took the time to learn how to make fire before going on the show. And I love that he loves Aussie. For those of you who watch this often, I love Aussie. Love him. But that's about as far as we get with my love for JD. I think JD is all over the shop. And he's great entertainment regardless. But as far as a strategic player goes, or a player who has the ability to win, I'd be shocked. I'd be so shocked. Survivor is going to humble this guy. He's young. He's got a great ego. I wrote down the quote, but it was something like, I wasn't always the guy with the long hair, the pretty teeth, and the great style, or whatever he said. And I'm sitting in the boat in my hair. Look, I'm looking fine. I'm looking great. This guy's ego is going to be the death of him. And instantaneously already rubbing people the wrong way. In a tribe of 2, a season of 2 starting tribes, you probably would be able to get rid of JD a little quicker. But I understand this need for physical strength and not losing a challenge, even though we do see the winners of that challenge were the ones that who were losing the physical side. They were the last as far as it comes to the physical aspect of the challenge, the blue team, and they made it up in the puzzle. The puzzle is always the great equalizer, and if you can get to the puzzle, you know, that can change the game. So it's not always, I don't always rate we need to keep the tribe strong to save us going from tribal council. The Australian season is a little bit different, but the American season, more often than not, that puzzle can really change things up a little bit. But JD goes off on he pulls the rock, and he's loving Survivor, and I love that he's a fan, and you know, I resonate with him that he is who he is because of the show. I love hiking. I do all that stuff that I love to do. I didn't think about it before, but I probably love it because I've been watching Survivor since I was 12. So it shaped me as well. So I kind of resonate with that. But, you know, that ego, that he's blinded by his own ego. And instantaneously we see Ricard go, you know, that story he told us, I don't buy a word of it, because he's filling it with fluff that doesn't matter. He's like, the fact that I led the way. No one gives a shit if you led the way up the hike that you had to go on. That doesn't make you awesome. That doesn't do anything for you. You know, that just makes people think you're a bit of a jerk and a douche. You know, be humble, especially on an island, especially on a tribe of 6 people, where one little grating thing that you could have about your personality, that could be the reason why you're voting, your head's on the table. And that is why your head's on the chopping block right now, because you're grating people the wrong way. And the fact that you aren't aware of that, you know, he'd probably go pretty far. He probably should be able to get to merge, but I don't see him winning. I can't see him winning at all. I can see him being very humbled by the game and probably going out in a blindside that was a really obvious blindside for us watching at home, because he just wasn't paying attention. And in turn, we have Brad, who he's the one who wanted to save Brad. So he thinks he's got a bit of power. JD thinks he's got a bit of power in the tribe. But Brad, I mean, Brad's not someone you want to stick around for very long. Brad probably should have been the first one to go, to be honest with you, because you can't trust him because he's too honest. You know, that moment where he comes back and he tells Sara and Shan that the 2 people on the chopping block are Sara and Shan, right to their faces. He knows he doesn't want to, but he's been asked the question and he can't lie. So he blurts it out. Which we then have that confessional from Sara going, it's like he's talking like it's Survivor from 2000 in the first iteration of Survivor. But the next thing we see is Brad goes over to JD while Shan is there, mind you. If you pay attention, I watched it just again. I just finished watching it for the second time before. Shan shakes her head. Brad's talking to JD and Shan shakes her head when she's hearing what she's hearing. Brad has to go and rat everything out. The conversation that they've had, he's now instantaneously blurted it out, but he's blurted it out to JD, which is fine, but not when you have someone else there. Because how do they perceive this conversation? These are moments you have in individual conversations, your one-on-one chats with these people, and Brad isn't doing that. So for me, I would have wanted Brad gone at all costs, because you cannot trust someone. It's that thing from Pirates of the Caribbean when Jack Sparrow says to Will Turner, I'm dishonest, and you can always trust a dishonest man. You can honestly trust a dishonest man to be dishonest, or whatever it is that you know that Jack's going to lie and cheat and do whatever he has to do to win. It's the honest ones the honest ones that you can't trust, because you never know when they're going to do something stupid. That's Brad. Brad's always going to be doing something stupid, and you never know he's going to do something stupid. So I would have probably voted him off first, but great character. I don't mind Brad. He's kind of funny, but a very interesting thing. And I think Sara is a victim of herself, to be honest. Like, just because you lost the challenge on the puzzle doesn't mean you should have been going home. And I think Ricard tried to push that, tried to mention that. But I think we do see early on, we see Sara cry a little bit. And that's not a bad, you're allowed to cry, you're allowed to be emotional. But what it is her emotions get the better of her, and she's not going to be able to think clearly. So she had a bit of a cry in her little chat about her history, which is fine. She lost her grandma last year to COVID. Yeah, that's sad. I get it. But that's already a warning sign to me. And then the next warning sign is she comes home they get back to camp after the immunity challenge, and she's already a mess. She's already in tears. She's already freaking out. You got to keep that. You got to keep that shit bottled up. You got to keep in control of that, because that's a sign of weakness. That's another reason why you're a main candidate to be voted off. You're already coming in as woe me, the woe me. Why I don't want to be considered. I don't want to go home. I don't want to go. Please not me. Please not me. I know I did bad, but it's not a likable trait that's going to get you very far, and in the end gets her voted off as well. So Abraham and Sara are our first boots. Even though I would have got rid of Brad, but Sara didn't have. She wasn't ready mentally, I guess. And it is a shame. Like, for someone who's been wanting to be on the show ever since he was 12 years old, and sounds like she's been wanting, it's like her lifelong dream, to last 3 days, brutal. That would suck. If I was first boot, it would kill me. I'd be devastated. So, it's really, I feel for her, but at the same time, she did it to herself, really. I might back up a bit and just start from the top. Like I said, I had all these notes, but they're on my phone. And I tried to write notes for this one. I thought it was, a 2-hour episode. I've got a lot to remember. There's probably a lot of stuff I need to know. Jack was usually my note-taking guy, and I just remembered off his notes. But the notes are on my phone. My phone is filming me, so I'm winging it again. So I'll bring it back to this idea of how brutal this survivor is going to be. And I kind of like it. I like the disadvantage element. I really like that if you don't win right now, you're not getting a flint. You have to earn your flint later. And you have 2 ways to earn it. You can either count some triangles. Everyone can count, but only one guess. Or 2 people can physically exhaust themselves filling up 2 barrels full of ocean water. I feel like the triangles would have been the smarter one to do, because right now, we want to win challenges. I mean, the blue team win anyway, but they've got a pretty fit dude in the ex-NFL player. Oh man, his name was there. I've forgotten it, but I'll get it. I do enjoy him. So he's pretty fit anyway. But Jeff's also said there's no rice. You're not getting the little supplies that you would get at the time. So you're going to have to forage for your own food and find your own food, find your coconuts, find some sort of fruit that you can eat, go fishing, hunt some crabs. That's on you. And if you're going to exhaust 2 of your strongest people carrying this water, I don't know. I just don't think that's something I would want to do. But they both chose that. We also had an absolute disaster of a first challenge getting off the boat. I've never seen something so pathetic, to have one tribe just never leave the boat the entire challenge because they couldn't find the oar. That said, it was a yellow oar and it was hidden in some rope that were painted yellow. A bit trickier for them. So it might be a little bit unfair because the others were blue and green. They stood out a little bit more. And then we have the blue tribe just rowing away, not moving. It's like, we're not moving. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. It's like we're on the same lot of water as the green tribe and we started before them and we're not going anywhere. We need to be attached somewhere. We need to be stuck. They just kept paddling. It was mind-boggling. But yeah, I love the fact that because they both lost, they now have to earn their flint again. Great. I also like the fact that if they lose the immunity challenge, which they do, not the blue team, the other 2 teams, they now are going to lose their flint again. The consequences here are fun for me. And we have that little immunity, that little advantage that Jeff puts in at the start that also comes with a cost. This is something you see a little bit I have been seeing it in the recent Survivor South Africa. If you go to Immunity Island, you're guaranteed to walk away with the immunity necklace that night if you stay. But if you stay, you also have to play the game. And if you play the game, you have a chance to win the idol, or you lose your vote. or whatever it was, but you lose a vote. The chance, there was a 50-50, you either win or you lose, and if you lose, you don't have a vote that night. So the disadvantage aspect to Survivor I really enjoy. I find that very fascinating and interesting, and something we haven't really had enough of. So I'm curious to see what this hidden advantage is and what the disadvantage that comes with it. Probably another vote loss, probably something else. I don't mind that. We'll see when that is found and comes into play. And then we have the second chance? No, not the second chance die. The loaded dice thing, whatever it is. I love dice. For those, I don't know if it's on this shop, but I have my Dungeons and Dragons books right there. I love dice. I love dice games. So I kind of get a bit of a kick out of the fact that everyone gets a dice. And unfortunately, it's not the roll of the dice. I think you just got to put your dice into this machine, this little box, and then you pull out a note. And if the note says you've been saved, I'm hoping it's just one, wherever the dice lands, the dice might land on being saved. What a great element to the game. I love it. I mean, I haven't seen it played off at the moment. But the element of the fact that I don't know if that person has gotten wind that they might be on the chopping block, or they might be who we're voting for tonight, might play that dice. Yes, they lose their vote, but by playing that dice, they could get immunity, which means my plan may or may not work. In a regular season, or I mean, this is regular season, in the old game, the old last decade, you're planning for a potential immunity idol by splitting the votes. At the moment, I don't know if you can still plan to split the votes with the immunity idol, because you only had one immunity idol. Right now, everybody has a potential chance to have theoretically an immunity idol if they choose to play it. So splitting the votes gets a little bit tricky here. I think the way to play this at the moment, obviously it's still very new. I'm not really sure where to go with it. I love it. I love the concept of now there's a little bit more that I have to think about as far as who and how to vote, and how to, Sarah should have probably played hers and taken a chance, because it's just, what is it? If I'm on the chopping block, why not? I'll take a risk. Sure, you lose your vote, but you stay in the game if it pays off. I don't know how to account for that going into tribal, aside from what I would always be wanting to do is make sure they have no idea that their head's on the table at all. Make sure they actually realize it's a blindside. I mean, Abraham said he was blindsided. It was definitely a blindside tonight. No, Abraham. Jeff said it's either you. Even Jeff knew it's between you, and Abraham, you were one of them. Just because you didn't realize where the votes were, you should have realized that you're one of the two options. Not a blindside. Especially if Jeff knows you're one of the options. With this loaded dice element, or whatever it is, second chance dice, I can't remember the name, you have to probably make sure they are never, ever at all worried that they could be next to go. But I really like it. Then we have the moral dilemma, the prisoner's dilemma, where we get, is it Nick? What's his name? NFL dude, JD, and Xander go on off. Now, Xander's actually a really cool character. I like Xander a lot. From what I'm seeing anyway, Xander seems to be very switched on when he talks to the camera, when he's in his confessional moments. He seems to be very switched on. And I could be just misreading it all completely, but I read someone who's totally in tune with everything. But then, when he's talking to the tribe, he's the dude, the bro, the hey, yeah, cool, whatever, you can trust me. He's playing the bimbo. He's playing the good-looking, lovable bimbo. I hope he is. Because if he is, he could go pretty far too. Really like that. Because when we see them go up, they climb the hill, they go and do their challenge or their little thing. Do they keep their vote? NFL dude, I want to call him Nick, but I can't remember. He decides to do the safe thing, and I think I may have done the same thing as well. Uh, Look, it's hard to know because in that situation, I would hope my social game is going to keep me from not even needing to be worried in that first vote. So my vote doesn't count. And you know what? My vote means it 100% won't be a split decision 3v3. My vote will definitely mean that we can only have a 2 versus 3 vote. There's only 5 people now voting. If I lose that vote, if I took that chance, look, I really feel like I'd rate my social game. Maybe I would take that chance if I'm feeling safe and I'm feeling strong with my social game. I'd probably take that chance to get that extra vote because you never know when that's going to pay off down the track. But in the grand scheme of things, I don't mind not taking it either. What he's done is he's built up a lot of trust. I like him as a character. He's physical, and he's a nice guy, and he doesn't seem to be pushing anyone the wrong way. He doesn't seem to be trying to lead the tribe. He just seems to be there to fill his role. Come merge, if he makes it to merge, his physical presence will probably be the thing that kills him the most, because, you know, they always want to take out a physical threat, even though it's been a very long time since... I mean, Tony did win recently, but Tony's a great strategist. It's been a very long time since a purely physical competitor took out title of Soul Survivor without some great strategic moves. So it's a weird thing that we always perceive that we need to take out the physical threat, but he would struggle because of his sheer physical prowess compared to everybody else. He's leagues above from looking at him. So he plays it safe, goes back to the tribe, tells them everything, tells him he kept his vote, didn't want to risk it. Great. Builds up trust, builds up no reason to want to vote him out. Xander comes back. He's taken the risk, but the way he frames it is brilliant. The way he frames it is, it's for us. I've got this tribe a second vote. And for some strange reason, the tribe loves it. They eat it up. I don't know why, but they do. And I love that. I love that he was able to make great positive risk for him sound like it's all for us. I'm here to fight for us. It's going to be us versus them, this tribe versus them. However he phrased it, he's done a brilliant job of making himself get an advantage, but also look like a hero for doing it. It doesn't really screw over the tribe, but it does break the trust. And then JD does the complete opposite thing and talks all over the shop. I'm sure more than Ricard knew it wasn't, they don't believe him. I'm sure of it. But then he backs it up at Tribal Council, going, I definitely protected my vote. What if everybody risked their vote and you have no vote? What happens then? Then you've just sat there and told everyone I protected my vote and it comes out the other way. Oh man, see you later next tribal. No one wants to work with you. You can't be worked on, and you'd be humbled much quicker than you will. But crazy story. Again, like Xander says, I don't know why anyone needs to lie about it. Because unless you've got a really, really good lie, most people really screw that up. So I just don't think it's worth doing it. Is it Nate? Is the guy's name Nate? I feel like it's Nick or Nate. Can't really remember, but definitely feel like it's one of those two. But then we get that crazy live tribal, which again, I would have even gone Brad again through that. Which Brad and that other chick, I don't know her name yet, sat there and did nothing while everyone was whispering around. If nobody's talking to you, sure, your name isn't being raised potentially, but where does that mean you sit going further on in the tribe? If you survive this vote, you got some work to do. If no one's talking to you, start talking to people. Start talking to people. Well, it's just bananas that they did nothing. Anyway, that aside, what else do we have? We have a nice little fun thing for us people playing at home, but probably more for kids. But hey, I'm playing. they show on the challenge, we show that little ice cream minus a sun, and then a wand minus a D with an A plus 2 lines. Great. I like a little puzzle. So that's a bit of fun, which I sadly did not work it out. My partner, Catherine, got me the last little bit. I ended up with day one, a double line. Don't know what that meant, but it was day one alliance. I'll get smarter. We'll get there, but it's great for me anyway. I think a little bit of fun to play at home. I think that's great. Anyway, I'm loving the episode so far. Any other characters who I think are worth mentioning? Not so much at the moment. I think my favorites are Xander, that NFL dude who I'm calling Nate or Nick, Shan. I think she's great. I think those three are ones that I would be wanting to hope make it pretty far in the game so far on first watch. And Shan, I think, could possibly take it out. I think she could win very easily. Xander has the potential to win. NFL dude, he'll get voted out at some point during merge if he gets to merge. But those three are my favorites. JD, very entertaining. Who else? They're off the top of my head the ones that really stood out to me as far as what we saw so far. Interesting. Like I said, you don't see too much strategy. Well, you did see a bit. I like the fact that they tried to look for idols while they were on the water hunt. They got busted, whatever, worth the risk. And it didn't cost them anyway in the end. And they win next challenge. So, the longer between drinks of going to tribal, the better it is to recover from those mistakes or those little caught red-handed moments. Otherwise, like I said, it's gonna be quick, but because it's quick, I think strategy is going to be, especially early on, I'd be pulling back the trigger strategically in this situation, and just trying to not rock the boat, doing what Shan's doing. I think she's doing amazing, just sitting there, getting the information. Knowledge is power. Keep it to yourself. Don't tell people about it. Take everything on board. Looking forward to the next one. Please, again, as per usual, like, subscribe, comment in the bottom. Let's chat. I've probably forgotten a bunch of stuff. It was a 2-hour episode. But yeah, I'm happy to chat about it. See you guys next week.